You know that feeling when you finally pull the cord on a cheap PA column for your first gig, only to watch the mids thin out like water and the highs scream like a siren? I've been there, and I've also seen a lot of friends stare at their wallets after a night of patch-up fixes, wondering why they didn't just invest a little more up front. That hesitation - will this actually work for my band or my church, or will I end up buying another speaker a week later? Is the exact reason I'm talking about the QSC KC12 today. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon, and I'll walk through why this particular line array column feels like a smarter buy than the generic alternatives you find on the shelf. First off, let's acknowledge the marketplace. The entry-level column speakers that dominate big box stores usually run a single driver or a simple two-way design. They're cheap, they're light, and they get you through a rehearsal, but as soon as you need consistent coverage for a 100-person room or a small club, the sound starts to wander. The low end disappears, the mids become a hollow box, and you're left with a lot of volume but very little clarity. That's the regret many buyers feel when they realize the speaker they bought can't hold its own after the first few songs. Now, the QSC KC12 isn't trying to be cheap. It's a 12-inch, three-way system that packs a tweeter, mid-range, and a dedicated low-frequency driver into one sleek, white column. The three-way configuration is what sets it apart from those budget models. By separating the frequency bands, each driver can operate within its sweet spot, which translates to smoother, more even coverage across the room. In practice, that means when you're playing a folk band in a coffee house, the acoustic guitar stays warm and present, the vocals cut through without sounding harsh, and the drum kit retains enough low-end punch to keep the groove alive. I tested the KC12 in 3 real-world scenarios: a church rehearsal space, a mobile DJ gig at a private event, and a small outdoor festival stage. In the church setting, the white finish blended nicely with the interior decor, and the line array design allowed the sound to project up the ceiling and back down, filling the sanctuary without needing additional hanging speakers. The voice of the worship leader stayed intelligible even when the band turned up the guitars, something you rarely get from a single driver column that tends to mask the mid-range. At the DJ gig, the unit's built-in amplification, which is a hallmark of the QSC series, meant I could plug straight into the mixer and walk on stage with just a power cable. The high-frequency tweeter handled the hi-hat and synth stabs without harshness, while the mid-driver gave the vocal samples a solid body. The low-frequency driver, while not a dedicated sub, provided enough thump to keep the dance floor moving without muddying the bass line. The real win was how quickly I could set up. The column's integrated rigging points let me stack 2 units on a lightweight tripod, creating a mini line array that covered the entire patio without having to rig a separate PA system. The outdoor festival was the toughest test. With the sun beating down and the crowd spread out over a half-acre lawn, I needed a speaker that could hold its own against ambient noise. The KC12 held its own up to about 85 dB SPL, which is plenty for a 150-person audience. The coverage pattern, thanks to the line array geometry, projected a relatively narrow, focused beam, meaning I could aim the sound where the crowd gathered without spilling too much into the surrounding trees. That focus is a subtle strength. You're not blasting the entire area, which keeps the next-door neighbor from complaining and saves you from having to run a massive line-level mix. Who should buy this? If you're a small venue sound engineer, a church tech director, a mobile DJ, or a band that books gigs in venues ranging from 80 to 300 seats, the KC12 checks the boxes. It gives you professional-grade dispersion without the need for separate high-frequency horns or low-frequency subs for most applications. It also appeals to anyone who values aesthetics. Those white columns look less industrial than the typical black or gray Pennsylvania stacks and can blend into a stage design more gracefully. Who should skip it? If you're looking to fill a large arena or a festival stage that expects thousands of ears, you'll quickly outgrow the output and coverage of a 12-inch column, no matter how well designed. In that case, you'll need larger line arrays or dedicated subwoofer units that can handle higher SPL and deeper bass. Also, if your budget is razor thin and you're comfortable sacrificing sound consistency for a lower price tag, You might still find a single driver column that meets that narrow goal, but be prepared for the same kind of regret I mentioned earlier. Let's talk practical strengths in plain terms. The three-way driver layout means you won't hear that boxy mids range that often plagues cheap speakers. The sound stays articulate even.